Hey everyone, it's Brittany of BZ Art, and today I'm going to show you how to make my Flamingo Floaty plush from my Flamingo Floaty pattern. You can buy this pattern on my website at bzart.com or from my Etsy store. So just a note before we get started on fabric choices. The fabric you use can change the way your final plush turns out. So for example, this one is made with a Shannon brand minky, and this one is made with a Joann's brand minky. I believe their line is called Soft and Comfy. So this one is less stretchy, so it results in a more circular shape, whereas the Shannon minky is more of an oval. It's not a big deal, it turns out great either way, and you can always give it a little bit of a squish to make it more circular, but if you really don't like that, you can add a little bit of interfacing to help reduce the stretch, or switch to a less stretchy brand. And another note before we get started, as you can probably hear, I have birds in the craft room. They've never been quiet a day in their life, and they're not about to start now. So if you hear some noise going on, that's what that is. So I'm going to start with the most difficult part of the flamingo, which is the actual floaty part itself. It's a little bit of a tricky technique, and I had to do quite a bit of research before I could do it myself. So you just want to pay very close attention to what you're doing. So to help with this, I've made a little dash on the pattern, and I've actually gone in with an air-soluble pen and dashed on the other side too, just to help me. You don't have to do that. I find that it's just a little bit easier. So I'm going to go ahead and line those dashes up and make sure that this is nice. You might want to pin it. I'm not going to, but it will help stop the minky from sliding if you don't have a walking foot. I'm going to go ahead and sew around this inner circle. And then what you're going to do is you're going to cut the fabric on the inside of the circle here, pretty much as close to the seam as you feel comfortable. You don't want it to fray out, but you also don't want it to pucker. When it's stuffed, if there is too much bulk on the seam allowance, that will cause a pucker. If that happens to you, you can unroll it, unstuff it, turn it right inside out, and cut little dashes here to help relieve some of the pulling from the seam. But honestly, I just prefer to cut it nice and close. So once you're done with that, you're going to turn it basically the other side. So I just take it and I kind of gather the top, shove it through the hole, and now it is wrong sides together. I'll make it nice and flat. So I'm going to find that dash, and I'm going to aim it to the bottom here. And then what I'm going to do is take it at about the top of this little circle here, fold it, and then come in and roll it again. And then you're going to take the bottom here and pull it out and pull it over this roll so that these two dashes line up again. Okay, and I'm just going to show that one more time because it is kind of tricky. So I'm going to dash to the bottom, fold it, grab the bottom, and pull them together. Alright, and once you've done that, you're going to hold it like this so it doesn't unroll, and I'm going to put it right there and start sewing on the dash. So what I'm doing as I sew is I'm kind of stuffing the rolled up fabric in a bit so it doesn't get caught in the seam, and I'm going to sew as much as I can. So right about here I can't really sew anymore, the seam is in the way. I'm actually going to zoom in on this so you can see what I'm doing. Alright, and so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rolled up fabric on the inside of there and pull it out. Hand's kind of in the way, I hope you can see. I'm just pulling this fabric out pretty much as I can. And then again, you know, stuff it back in out of the seam and sew as much as I can. And you're just going to continue this process, pulling it out, stuffing it in, and sewing around. So eventually you're going to come back to the dashes where you started. So you'll just want to sew until about, I like to leave like 2 or 3 fingers width between the opening there. So I'll just sew until the foot hits my fingers. And then what you're going to do is you're going to reach in this hole, grab just pinch the rolled up fabric that's on the inside and pull it out. And you'll just want to go through pulling it out. And the floaty's done. So I'm zoom back out there. Alright, and then the next step is going to be to stuff the floaty. So I'm going to grab some stuff in here. Oops. And I'm actually going to use a pair of hemostats. People always ask me what these are. It's a medical device, and you can just buy them on Amazon. Craft stores carry them now. It's really useful for stuff like this. So I'm just going to grab a bunch and shove it in, about as far as it'll go. Alright, so now that we've reached the end and it's kind of stuffed a lot, you're going to close the opening with a ladder stitch. So I'm just going to go ahead and thread my needle here. Which I seem to be failing at. Does anyone know, like, a stuffed animal artist who can help me? Like, someone who sews professionally. Help me. There we go. Alright, so for the ladder stitch, you're going to take the needle, put on the inside of the fabric and come out, and then come from the outside of the fabric in and right back out. Across to the other side, do that again, in and right back out. And you're just going to continue along the opening. Now I find with this plush, a lot of times the opening isn't stuffed as much and it kind of ruins the look. So I have my finger in here and I'm going to tighten the thread over it, and then I'm just going to go in with my hemostats and stuff a little bit more stuffing into the opening. Just to make sure we don't end up with a flat spot here. It'll be mostly covered by like a wing anyway, but I think it helps. Okay, so that's the hardest part of the plushie. So we're just going to set that aside for now. And next I'm going to do a head. So I've already done one side so you can see kind of how it looks here. So you're going to take the light colored piece. I think I put cream on the pattern. I've kind of been using a light pink because that's what I have. And you're going to line it up on the dashes and sew it to the face. I can't remember where I labeled those points, but it will be in the pattern. And I like to just clip off my excess seam allowance. And next you're going to line up the end of the beak with the lighter piece and sew those together. And I'm going to clip the excess seam allowance again. So then you're going to sew the two sides of the head together. So you're going to place them with right sides together. And what I like to do to make sure that this comes out nice is to line up these seams exactly and then put a pin there to keep it from moving. So I'm going to go around and do this with all of the seams. And then once you've done that, if you would like, you can go through and finish pinning the rest of your head. Once again, I'm not going to do that, but if you don't have a walking foot, you should definitely pin your minky or it will slide. I'm clipping my excess seam allowance again. Sometimes I think the hardest part of these videos is actually just not humming or singing to myself, which is something I do regularly when I'm working or talking to my birds. It's hard to remember sometimes that people are watching, even if there's no one in here. So once you've done that, you're going to go ahead and clip a little hole where the eyes are, or use an awl and poke a hole in and stretch it out. That'll help stop the fabric from fraying, but I don't have a whole lot of issues with that since my plushies are not meant for heavy play or kids. But if yours are, it's something to consider. So you're going to take your safety eyes. Oh, so I clipped the felt circles, and then you're just going to go in and right in the middle clip a hole. So I've already done that, and you're going to take your safety eye, push it through the little hole so it's around your eye. You do that with both of them. And then you're going to take the eye and insert it into the plush, and the post comes out the hole so that the felt is trapped on the right side of the fabric. So to do this, I'm going to use my hemostats to hang on to the eye, and that just makes it easier because it's such a long neck. I'm squishing it down, and I'm just feeling to make sure none of the felt is rolled up. And then post on. which feels a little bit funny, but we'll see when we turn it right side out. And then I'm going to go ahead and clip the excess post because I feel like this helps it lay nicer. I'm just using a pair of wire cutters. This is not a necessary step. Again, I just think it helps. I could be the only one who notices though. And then I'm going to reach in with my hemostats, pinch the fabric in them, and pull it right side out. Sure enough, it's a bit rolled up in there. Pull it out and make sure the washer is still nice and tight in the back. And then you're going to stuff the head. Okay, and once that's done, I'll just set the head aside. So next I'm going to do a wing. I've already done one, so I'm just going to do the other one. So just place two pieces of your wing right side together and sew all the way around. Cutting off the excess seam allowance. And then you're going to make a clip on the back of your wing right about here. And you're going to want to make sure that if you do it on this side for one wing, you do it on the other side for the other wing. So I tend to lay them like this and then mark so that I know which side to do it on each wing. And you're just going to cut a little hole and then turn it right side out through that hole. And then you're going to stuff it very loosely. You don't have to stuff it at all if you don't want to. I just like the way that it looks. Another option is to use a quilt batting or even a layer of fleece just to give it a little bit of puffiness. Whatever works best for you. One thing that we talk about in yoga, which I know I'm being one of those people right now, but it's that you should do whatever is right for you, whatever feels right. So if I'm saying clip your seam allowances and you don't want to clip your seam allowances, don't. What I'm saying is just a guideline. It's not a rule. And that's kind of, I feel like, the beautiful thing about making stuffed animals. There's a lot of different ways to achieve the same thing. So go with whatever is right for you. So I just took the wing and I kind of marked the spots and then I drew in the lines. And now I'm going to go through and top sew on those lines. And now I'm just clipping these little strings off. And the final piece to assemble is the tail. So you're just going to put the two tail pieces right side together. Just sew around this, leaving the side open to turn it right side out. Sometimes if you're having trouble sewing a piece this small, it can help to just cut out a big square and have it in the middle so that you have the whole square to hold and manipulate while you're sewing. And then you're just going to stuff this tail. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my flamingo and just kind of pin it all in place. So I'm going to take the head here and my pins, and I'm just going to stick them in. And once you're done with this, you're just going to ladder sew them to the floaty part. So in order to do that, it's just like we did to close the floaty itself. You push in, you come out, and then in and directly back out. And you're going to want to just do this wherever it naturally meets up with the floaty is where you're going to sew. And again, be careful not to poke yourself on the pins that are sticking out. So I'm probably going to speed up the video now and just let you watch me do this super fast. Alright, and now you're done. So that is all it takes to make a beautiful flamingo floaty. I hope that you guys enjoy making an entire army of these, and have a good summer. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.